Hey guys, how are you doing today? If you follow me over on Instagram at My Catholic Perspective, you would know that my 18-month-old daughter Evelyn is currently sick. She's been running a fever since Tuesday. Last night it got up to 104.3. She's just been a little fussy, but the doctors don't think she has COVID, so we are going to the doctor this afternoon at 3 o'clock to kind of see what might be going on. But she doesn't have any respiratory issues or anything like that. So, thankfully, she's able to breathe, and oxygen levels should all be perfectly normal. But it has kept me up and preoccupied my time for the last 2 days. And I usually have been recording on Wednesdays, but today I'm recording today. And I just wanted to do something a little bit more casual since I didn't have time to do in-depth research. And talk about Catholic birth. And because I am 35 weeks this week, I am mentally preparing for our second delivery. And I have some tools from my first round that were offered to me by others that I've spent time with. I'm currently rereading this book, Made for This, by Mary Hasseltine. And it's the Catholic Mom's Guide to Birth. And it talks about being in the right mindset, about being about the father being present with a mom and how he can be supportive, and just all these natural ways of accepting the feminine genius, as Pope John Paul II calls it. The feminine genius of how our bodies are created for delivery and how our mindsets play into that, and how we view birth is sometimes it can play into how we end up parenting. So if we surrender everything to a doctor and just say, oh, they're a doctor, they know what they're doing, we'll just, trust that and not do any independent research, it's like in this book, it talks about taking control and taking responsibility and some fortitude and gusto in your birth to say, no, this is what is important to me, this is what is not. I've done a video on something like circumcision where you have to do your independent research because some hospitals treat it like a routine procedure when it is not recommended as one at all. And so we have to be prudent as Catholics to protect the integrity of our children, of our new babies. And I talked about that too, recently, about how, my husband and I are the only two that have ever changed Evelyn's diapers. We just don't, I respect her bodily integrity, that I don't feel like I should just hand her off to anyone and be like, oh yeah, you want to change your diaper? Here you go. It's like, I wouldn't want, I think about being old and in a nursing home, I would much rather have a primary caregiver that changed my diaper all the time instead of just whoever was available and this person's there, because we are still respecting the dignity of that person, and it can still be offered, obviously, with having other people change your baby's diapers. I'm not condemning that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying personally for me it was a conviction I had, likely due to some past something or other that I've experienced. And so it just, but it just promotes maintaining that integrity for your children, for your newborn infants, and treating them as a person, just as we do, when we start talking about being pro-life, about being anti-abortion, and all of that plays into it. So this book is just really, really great. It gives recommendations about what to take to the hospital. It gives a lot of moms' birth stories, how every labor is always different. There was one mom that had 7 kids, and every labor taught her something different. One taught her patience, another taught her fortitude, and it's encouraging for me because my labor with Evelyn was fairly rough. I was in the mental state of my body knows what it's doing, but maybe almost too much. So one of the pamphlets that I'm reviewing this time is Laboring Positions, and this is a way to have a natural birth, and there's just so many, and so I've been kind of practicing them not being in labor, which is very different than when contractions are going to be present, but at least I kind of know what feels comfortable, what doesn't, and I'm learning. But I think I almost trusted my body too much, if that makes sense. I was okay laying on my back, or I was okay not really moving around too much, because no, my body knows what it's doing. It's gonna get this baby out of me, and it was made for this. But in reality, like, we have to work with our bodies. We have to use our mind to, like, you know, facilitate that segment to come to fruition. So as I'm like, the baby's coming out, the baby's coming out. But so I just wanted to recommend that book, and then Hypno Babies. So on my, I always call it a birth preference. I will not call my birth plan a birth plan, because they really are just preferences. I knew with Evelyn, with my first, I did not want to be attached to outcomes. I did not want to be like, I do not want a C-section. I do not want an epidural, because I'm very aware of how that can integrate into the body about having guilt or shame or just overall disappointment with the birthing process. I wanted to remain very open to whatever would show up, which ended up being good, because I was in early labor from 6 a.m. to like 6 p.m., so 12 hours, and then active labor kind of started between 6 and 8. We were to the hospital by 8:30, and then I wasn't dilating anymore. I was stuck at a 6 until like 4 in the morning, and I couldn't do it anymore. And looking back at it, you know, I got an epidural at 4 a.m., but I could have had them break my water. You know, I've talked to one of my friends who said that her water, you know, the doctor broke her water and the baby was born 2 hours later, whereas Evelyn wasn't born till noon. So, you know, maybe if I had chosen to go the route of let's speed this up and see what we can do to help expedite the process or be more efficient, we did the epidural. I laid down, contractions slowed, so I rested, but I was in labor for an additional 8 hours when it could have been shortened. So you live, you learn. You have several children, and every time it's supposed to be like more efficient, not necessarily easier, but more efficient, as my chiropractor was saying today. And so I'm just like, I'm hopeful that this time around goes a little smoother. I mean, even if it doesn't, I'm still just open. But so on my birth plan though, or birth preference, you know, we have certain deals, but the hope is to be able to deliver naturally this time. But again, if I am in suffering pain, I'm not going to like make myself pass out. Like I was near borderline passing out last time. I think my body was just totally worn out, and I was like seeing white. It was like, I can't do this anymore, because I had really bad back labor, but I couldn't move, and anyway. So I'm trying to get out of that mindset. I'm trying to like separate myself from what I experienced last time, and just hoping for a new experience this time around, and to learn something new, just as a lot of these women in this book talk about. So today though, you know, if you're still here, I am looking for intentions. I'm looking for, you know, the friend I just told you that I chatted with, she said that she had like a list of intentions so that for each contraction she could focus and offer that suffering or that pain. Well, we don't call it pain. What is it called in Hypno Babies? It's not Hypno Babies. I'm not doing Hypno Babies. I'm doing like a Hypno Babies adjacent. It's just, it's taking from Hypno Babies certain aspects, but I'm not doing the hypnosis part. But like this laboring position deal that I have, I think this is from Hypno Babies, or it was from my sister's. My sister gave it to me. I don't know. But anyway, we don't call it pain. What do we call it? I don't know. They're waves. They're not. They have different words. I haven't looked at that. I've been focusing on this book right now. I still have a couple weeks left. But forever contraction. I'd like to be able to offer that and join it to the cross with Christ for your intentions. So if you have something that I can pray for, I'm sure that there will be plenty. Contractions, you know, they happen every 90 seconds or, you know, 2 to 3 minutes, and they last for 90 seconds. So when you talk about being in labor for 8 hours, that leaves quite a lot of room for intentions. That's what, I don't know, over 100 intentions that I can pray for. So for sure, like, because there will be time in between too. And but yeah, so if you wanted to offer or like give me any, I'm happy to add them to a list. I'll type them all up and then move forward. And if you're a patron, maybe I'll just save your intentions for the end, and they can really count. But I can let you know, be like, yeah, your intention made it to the pushing phase. So Christ really is going to listen to that one. And hopefully you're a husband, or you're just like, you know, you've probably seen birth in a movie or something like that. And birthing doesn't have to be like in the movies, but yeah, it's definitely animalistic is what a lot of women I've talked to have described it as. You know, we go to our roots. This is what makes us, like, we birth the same way as animals, and then we nurse, and it makes me feel like a cow because udders and birth and newborn phase is just really weird to me and my husband. It still is. I mean, it's a beautiful miracle, this and that, but it is a very strange concept that definitely does just, I don't know. It's just weird. My opinion. And I'm Catholic and like fully believe in the dignity and respecting life. It's just an odd thing. So I'd like to do that. And then it was also suggested to me to share like a baby registry. I don't know, you know, some of you have signed up as patrons, other people have given one-time donations, and I appreciate all of that. I adopted a 7-year-old named Travis. It's a Chevrolet Traverse, 2013 Chevy Traverse. I named him Travis. And we just purchased that, and my dad was able to give us a loan with a very low interest rate. So I'm paying him back and using money from Patreon to pay off the car. And then we sold my other car too, which went very smoothly. But so some people have signed up for Patreon, and I like appreciate that from the depths of my heart, because it's been able to give us a safe vehicle for our family as we grow and expand and anticipate more children after this, you know, Lord willing. But I was also encouraged to share a registry, so I will link that below as well. There are a couple items that we do need. There's a stroller that fits our car seat, our infant car seat, and it's a double stroller, so that if I want to go on a walk when Alec is at work, I can go with Evelyn and the new baby, and I don't have to wait for him. So we have a single stroller that fits our car seat and the wagon. But so like it's like $300, but it's the Chico Cortina or something. It fits our car seat, so we don't have to get adapters. It's not anything fancy beyond the $300. So I mean, even just putting like $10 toward that or something would be helpful for us, because I know that that's something that, unless we find one secondhand, which there have only been one secondhand 200 miles away, which isn't going to work, that's going to be one that we're going to have to buy. And yeah, there are just some other like larger ticket items on there that even if we just have some money toward it, it'll just be helpful to be able to afford them, you know, even if we don't get them before the baby's born, get them after, because we have saved up. We have a $2,000 family deductible, and so we have that on the side. But with Evelyn, I think it was less than $200 toward the deductible that we had to use for her, because it's $1,000 individual, but then $2,000 as a family. So so we covered my deductible, and then we were $200 into hers. So we ended up having some extra money after the birth, and we were able to use that toward whatever we needed, diapers, wipes, all those kinds of things. But obviously, yeah, anything helps. We are just so grateful that I'm able to stay home. Obviously, we can make things work with whatever we have. I was just talking to Alec last night how I may just sew my own burp cloths, because I can. Like, I just need to go get the fabric and, you know, get some cotton and some fleece, and I can even do triple layer ones, and who knows, maybe I'll make an Etsy shop if they end up turning out nice, or just be able to gift them to people that have their own babies. So but that's kind of been my life this week, has just been kind of mentally preparing for birth, reading these books. I'm working on the book that I'm doing for the book review this month, which is The Apostasy That Wasn't by Rod Bennett, and it's more of a historical type book. I'd say it's probably like a postgraduate level book for sure, but so I'm working through that. I'm, you know, I don't know, 50 pages into 300 pages, but I'll talk about that book in a couple weeks. So, and this book wasn't really voted for by patrons, but it is my life right now. This is what I have to spend my time on when I'm not focusing on The Apostasy That Wasn't. And And it's good. And I'm just really hopeful. Evelyn's sleeping right now, the poor girl. She was up at 5:40 this morning, like for a while. And then she went down at 10:30 and she's been sleeping here for, I don't know, probably going on an hour now then, or hour and a half. She took a 3.5-hour nap yesterday. So we're just praying that she starts to feel better and that it's just nothing serious, that this afternoon at the doctor's that they'll be able to figure out what's going on, and just, you know, maybe it's as simple as an ear infection. She needs some antibiotics and her fever's gone by tomorrow. Like, that would be so ideal. I would be so grateful for it to be a bacterial infection that can be treated with antibiotics opposed to a virus that, you know, I'll have to have a third night in a row of 3 hours worth of sleep, because that was 2 nights ago and last night. They have both been 3 hours of sleep. And that was even with Alex staying home from work this morning to watch her. And, like, she would only sleep on him. She wanted to sleep on me, but I can't lay on my back because of the baby. So it's just been life with a toddler with a newborn baby on the way. So it's going to be rewarding, and maybe some of your intentions can be used sooner than when I go into labor, but I'll still maintain it for the list to really give it that oomph that the labor will give. But God bless you all. Thanks for tuning in today. I just hope that if you are a new mom, if you're a first-time mom, if you're pregnant with your first baby, if your wife's pregnant, that you would be interested in Made for This. I'll put a link below. I think it's actually on my Amazon shop where I make just a small commission if you purchase it from there. But it's a great gift to give to Catholic moms. My friend hadn't even heard of it, and it's like, oh, it's just a beautiful book. Mary really does a nice job explaining how we can make our births holy, how it is a sacred thing, how, you know, something that's like bloody and intense and painful, how to make that holy, how perhaps our view of holiness has been skewed to be this like pure white, like graceful deal, when really like birth can be just as holy. We can make it a holy, sacred experience. And so I do highly recommend it if you are looking into having a family, if you're looking to take some ownership in your Catholic birthing experience. It's very, very powerful and just encouraging. That's how I'm feeling with it right now. So, and that's with a negative experience in the past. But God bless you. Thanks for tuning in, like I said. And then I'll link below the Registry, my Patreon, and then this book as well, the Made for This, The Catholic Mom's Guide to Birth, if you're interested in any of those things. And yeah, be sure to comment your intention, or if you want to send it to me privately, like I said, I'm over on Instagram at My Catholic Perspective. I'll be like compiling everything onto a Word document or Excel sheet, whatever. And yeah, so it doesn't really matter how you get your intention to me, just be sure to send it, and I'll get it over onto the sheet. I look forward to hearing from you. I pray that God grants you the resources that you need to draw closer to Him and to those around you, and I pray that you're able to make it a great day. We'll see you on Sunday, patrons, for current events. There are a lot going on, so you may want to hop over to Patreon and become a member just for Sunday's video. But Sunday, patrons, and otherwise I'll see you guys next week, Thursday at 3. Take care.